For today's lesson, we are going to learn about multiplying polynomials. Yesterday, we looked at adding and subtracting polynomials. Now, before we start, let's review two important concepts that we've already learned this year. Now, when we were adding polynomials yesterday, we were looking at x plus x, which would equal 2x. We did nothing to the exponents of the x's because they are terms, not factors. 3x squared plus 2x squared, once again, are like terms. So we add the coefficients and we leave the exponents alone. So you will hear me say, when you're adding terms or subtracting, you leave the exponents alone. Now, today, we're going to be looking at multiplying. Now, in the last chapter, we looked at multiplying, dividing exponents. Well, I like to say with multiplying, you mess with the exponents. So let's look at a few examples before we get started. Here was x plus x. Here is x times x. Now here, you multiply the coefficients. 1 times 1 is 1. And then you add the exponents. We messed with them. They are not terms, they are factors. Same thing here. 3x squared times 2x squared gives us 6x to the fourth. So today you're going to have a combination of combining like terms and multiplying factors. Now, let's get started. Recall the distributive property. How does it work? Well, it distributes everything. So let's look at the first problem here. 2x cubed times x cubed plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 5. Now, we also learned yesterday vocabulary. You will notice that the 2x cubed is a monomial and the other one is a polynomial. But distributive property still works. So we are going to multiply the monomial to the polynomial by the distributive property. So we're going to go 2x cubed times x squared, which will give us 2x, and I'm sorry, that was a cube, 2x to the 6th power plus, distribute, 6x to the 5th, distribute again, negative 4x to the 4th, and distribute to the last term. That'll be 10x cubed. Now you stop, you make sure nothing has a like term, and you make sure your degree is in descending order. So we have a 6, the 5, the 4, the 3. That problem is finished. Now let's look at one more, number 2. 3x squared times negative 5x squared plus 3x minus 5. Pause the video and work that one. Okay, did you get 15x to the 4th plus 9x cubed minus 15x squared? I got that answer by distributing the 3x squared to all of the terms. Now, what if we have two binomials? So let's go down to this box and write that question. Okay, so now two binomials. Now remember that a binomial has two terms. So look at this example. X minus 4 times 3x plus 2. Now, you no longer have the monomial out front. Well, now that you have two binomials, you still apply the distributive property. So you still distribute. So, we would distribute the x to the 3x, and we would get 3x squared. You would distribute the x to the 2 and get 2x. But now you're not finished because you have a binomial. You distribute the negative 12x, and then you distribute and get negative 8x. Now, if you'll notice, the middle terms are like terms. we can condense those and get 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. So if you have two binomials, it's still the distributive property. However, we do have an easy way to remember this, and it is called the FOIL method. Now, FOIL stands for first, so right here I did x to 3x, so that was first. Then I did x to 2, which is the outer. Then I did the 2 inside here, that's considered inner. And then I did negative 4 to 2, which is considered last. So first, outer, inner, last. Now, also, I like to do this. If I do first, and I do outer, and then I do inner, and I do last like this, I can make a little man. And I think it kind of looks like a monkey. So I like to call him George because he looks like a little monkey. Now, even though that's cute and FOIL does represent how to multiply binomials, I really need you to remember that it is the distributive property. So let's try one down here. Please go to number 1 and write down 3x plus 4 times x minus 2. And now look at it. It's two binomials, therefore you distribute. Now, since it's two binomials, we can use FOIL. So if we do first 3x squared, we do outer, that's negative 6x. We do inner, that is 4x. And we do last, we get negative 8. Notice our little man there. And this right here can actually combine and become 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. Now, you don't have to do the little man. It just kind of is cute, and that will actually help us out later. But as long as you're doing the distributive property, you will get the correct answer. You try number 2. 4x minus 5 times x minus 2. Pause the video and work on it. Okay, review my work on number 2. Notice that I did first, outer, inner, last to get these terms. I combined these middle ones together to get this trinomial, 4x squared minus 13x plus 10. Now, let's look at a tricky one. Sometimes you have a tendency to get a little confused on problems that are not normal binomials. So here is number 3. This one is x plus y times x minus 3. So if you'll notice the extra variable y is in there, it's okay. You still have two binomials, therefore you still do the distributive property. So we would say x times x will be x squared. We would do outer, negative 3x. We would do inner, and when we do the inner part, that is x times y. And then we do last, and that is negative 3y. Now I'm looking at this one, and I'm not really seeing any like terms, therefore we just leave it. That is your answer. Okay, so it's just a polynomial. Now, for number 4, we are going to go away from FOIL. FOIL only works if you have two binomials. Question 4 is not going to be two binomials. It is going to be a binomial times a trinomial. Therefore, FOIL cannot work, and you rely on your distributive property. Now, it's basically like this. You are going to distribute the 4 3 times. So we have to go here to here to here 3 times, but we're not finished, because then we have to go here to here to here. So we have to distribute the 4 3 times, and we have to distribute the negative 3 3 times. Okay, so let's go ahead and distribute the 4 to the 2x squared, the 4x. So that's going to give us 8x cubed. Then we're going to do 4x to 5x. That will give us 20x squared. Then 4 to the negative 1 will give me negative 4x. Now notice I have three things, I have three terms because I distributed 3 times. Now I come down here and distribute. Now notice, I'm going to get a negative 6x squared. So instead of writing it over here, I like to do this little trick where I line up my x squares together. Then I go negative 3 to 5x. Notice I'm going to get negative 15x squared. Not squared, just x. But I'm going to stack it. And then negative 3 to the negative 1 will give me positive 3. Now, when I go to combine like terms, my like terms are lined up. So 8x cubed drops down. 20x squared minus 6x squared is 14x squared. That'll give us negative 19x plus 3. So it's in order 3, 2, 1, 0. And all of my terms are combined. So once again, since we're multiplying a binomial times a trinomial, FOIL does not work. Okay, you try number 5. This one is going to be 2x minus 3 times 3x squared minus x plus 5. Pause the video and try it. Okay, check your answer. 6x cubed minus 11x squared plus 13x minus 15. I did that by distributing the 2x 3 times, and then the negative 3 times. Now let's move on to number 6. Sometimes your problems will be out of order. X squared plus 2x plus 1 is the trinomial, and then behind it is the x plus 2. Now, distributive property can be applied either way. You can distribute the trinomial or you can distribute the binomial. Really what I like to do is to put the x plus 2 out front and rewrite it. We can do that by the commutative property, and then we can just work the problem. So now pause the video and try that problem. Check your answer. It's x cubed plus 4x squared plus 5x plus 2. Once again, I distributed the x 3 times, the 2 3 times to get that answer. Now, that will be the end of this video with your first page of your notes. Now watch the second video, part 2, on the applications.